climate justice, which is our next topic. Climate justice. So suddenly that looks like a heavy word, no? Means no, hame nyay chahiye, we want justice, something like that. So climate justice, the word will be used by India. So first thing is you remember this word climate justice in your memory. Put it in your long-term memory, not in your short-term. Because only if it is in your long-term memory, you'll remember it whenever you write a main thing. Climate justice. So what is climate justice? According to the concept of climate justice, they treat climate change as an ethical and a political issue. Ethical and a political issue rather than a purely environmental issue. Yeah. Do you recollect the world map where I showed vulnerability and emission? A big world map where I showed Africa is most vulnerable, though they are emitting the least. That is a way of showing how much of a climate injustice is there currently. If you are not sure which graph I'm referring to, just take a minute. I am referring to this graph. You remember this? I called it as climate change equity. This could well be called as climate change justice. People who are most vulnerable are the ones who are emitting the least. People who are emitting the maximum, they are least vulnerable. Yeah. The moral of the story is life is unfair. Yeah. So that's what the even at a global level. Yeah. We were at climate justice. So in climate justice, what India what it says is that rather than treating this as a purely environmental in nature, let's treat it as ethical and politically also. Okay. And then once again in climate justice, the concept of historical responsibilities also comes. So it keeps coming back. Yeah, all your past sins, India will keep poking or showing the developed countries that hey, before you talk to me, think of what you did to the world in the early 19th century, how much CO2 you had emitted, so on and so on. Yeah. And for its part, India also says we are committing 450 gigawatts of renewables. When we come to India's power sector, you will understand that 450 gigawatts is a really massive target. I personally feel, having been in the power sector for several years, even achieving this target is going to be next to be impossible. But India has been responsible enough to say that we'll push for 400 gigawatts of renewable by 2030. To kind of put this in perspective, India's current total power capacity itself is 400 gigawatts. Total power capacity as of now. Yeah. And the renewables is approximately somewhere around, let's say, 150 gigawatts. So you need to add another 300 gigawatts in the next 10 years, which is quite a steep target. Okay. So now, what is India going to do in its when it is arguing its case for the Glasgow summit? Okay. So India says it will emphasize on three things. First, finance. Going back to the same thing, where is the $100 billion? Sorry. Where is the $100 billion? Then it will talk about technology transfer. So technology transfer is a very, very touchy topic for the Westerners, for the developed countries, because of the intellectual property rights and others. But India and many of the developed countries feel if the technology is transferred, the pace at which the developing countries will absorb the climate resilient technologies or the low carbon path of development will be much faster. So obviously there is a commercial interest versus, which means there is an economical value versus a social value. Somewhere, sometimes you will find these terms in ethics also. So it was interesting. One of my students said that a lot of things about environment can be used in your GS paper 4. Since I have not really studied GS paper thoroughly, I could not comment on it. But he said, no, sir, a lot of things in environment, especially around this concept of climate justice, equity, common but differentiated responsibilities, and all that have a direct impact when you write answers in paper 4. Okay. So the last issue that India is expected to raise at the Glasgow summit is the unresolved issues of the Paris Rule Book. So when we discussed Paris Climate Agreement, we did not discuss the Paris Rule. Yeah, I discussed it. When I draw the line, you will know that I have discussed it, but I did not use the word Paris Rule Book. So it's good that when I read today's newspaper, this term struck me and I immediately put it as a slide. So India will also discuss Paris Rule Book. Now, what is the rule book? Let's see in a minute. Anyone has any questions so far by any chance? Anything on what I have taught or in general? I'd just like to take a minute break. Throat is getting dry. Okay, so seems like none. So let me continue then. So what is Paris Rule Book? Now, in fact, even before this, yeah. So when Paris climate change happened, all the countries were very happy. Why? Because they've been able to have an understanding across countries on what needs to be achieved. That's a big target. No? 195 plus membership in UNFCCC. So it's almost like the entire world agreed. Okay, so everyone is really happy. Yeah, but you know there is this proverb in English that they call the devil is in the. Can someone complete it? The devil is in the detail. The devil is always in the detail. So while everyone agreed that we will have nationally determined contribution, there is something called sustainable development. We will have climate finance. We will help each other in finance, technology, capacity building. There will be enhanced transparency framework. I'm just repeating the points that we had discussed a couple of days back. The Paris Agreement. All that everyone agreed. But once they went away from Paris, they started having a lot of doubts. In each country had it starting a lot of doubts. The Paris Rule Book is nothing but, just remember it as a implementation handbook. Can you remember it? Paris Rule Book is like an implementation handbook. What does an implementation handbook say? It says, let's say it's a bulky voluminous book. It says nationally determined contribution. Okay, in your nationally determined contribution, this is the methodology in which you need to determine how much your country will, let's say, reduce CO2 emission. Then that has to be signed off by A, B, C, and D. And after D signs, I'm just saying, let's say Cabinet of India signs, then that NDC target is given to UNFCCC Secretariat. Then the Secretariat reviews it. Then they will come back. That is on nationally determined contribution. Now, second, India also reports, hey, you know what? We have reduced 100. Let's say 1 gigaton of CO2. Then these are the supportings that are required. A, the projects where this have come. B, the methodology that you have used to quantify the fact that 1 gigaton have reduced. C, what is the sustainability of these measures? Today it is 1 gigaton. Will it be 1 gigaton next year or will it be 0.8 gigaton? Because let's say it's an electric vehicle and for some reason, let's say the vehicle is not as efficient in the second and third year. Will it be the same? Fourth point, do you have a validation by independent technical experts? So it's a highly complicated process. All of that comes in rule book. Now the rule book discussion, very interesting. 2015 was Paris Agreement. 2016 was Marrakesh. 2017 was Bonn. 2018 was Katowice. For 3 years, the delegates of climate change conference, they were having, you know what? They were having a doubt clearing session. I didn't understand this. This is not clear. No, this is not clear. How we do? So it took them 3 years to even agree on the implementation of the Paris Agreement. So that is where the problem comes. Similarly, in a slightly different context, whenever a policy is formed in India, generally you read in public administration, a policy remains a good policy. Only one of the things that it has to do is it has to understand the implementation challenges very well. That is why, as an IAS officer, before you go and sit in the secretariat, you're first posted in the district. You're first posted in various responsibilities, which gives you a 360-degree view of the administration, so that when you come to the secretariat, you understand the ground realities. Okay, so it's somewhat similar. So everyone was very happy and they agreed, hey, we've done a landmark thing. But when it comes to the detail, there were so much of forward and backward. There was so much on.